Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out another one of the items that I picked up as part of my £100 cash converters video. If you haven't seen that already, then you can click up here to check that out. But today we're going to be checking out the amp, the Peavey Rage 158. So this is a 15 watt solid state amp with an 8-inch speaker and features Peavey's trans tube technology. Now there are 3 versions of this amp, but the one I've got here is the red stripe version. I'll throw up on screen the other 2 versions of it, but just know that the one you're hearing today is the red stripe version. So these little amps were a fairly common first amp for people back towards when they were released. Obviously this is pre-modelers, Sparks, any of that stuff. It's just a fairly straightforward solid state small amp. But to me at least sounds pretty good, and I picked this one up for £35. They can be had really cheap and they're a good little option if you just want something simple and that sounds alright. So looking at the controls, you've got 2 channels on this amp. You've got a clean channel and sort of a dirty channel. You've then also got a 3-band EQ, which is switchable between a vintage and a modern mode. So we'll start over on the clean channel. Today I'm playing my Fender 60s Custom Telecaster, and I'm just running straight into the front of the amp. So the clean channel with the EQ flat and on the modern voicing sounds like this. And then if I just switch over to the vintage voicing so you can hear that, that sounds something like this. So to my ear, the modern setting has a bit of a fuller bottom end and just tightens things up a little bit. But really there's not much more to say on the clean channel. You've just got a single knob that controls it and then the EQ. So we'll switch over to the dirt channel now, and for this you have 2 control knobs. They're labelled pre-gain and post-gain. Now really the post-gain is just looking like your volume, and it's the pre-gain that gives you your grip. So right now I've got it set up for just a bit of crunch. So that's with the pre-gain on 4, so about 10 or 11 o'clock. And if I turn it up to sort of 1 o'clock-ish now. And then I'll turn it all the way up to about 3 o'clock. So as you can hear, it's okay, it's not great. It's your fairly typical fizzy, slightly harsh sounding solid state distortion. Personally, I wouldn't really use the drive channel on anything more than sort of a crunch setting. But as we heard in the £100 rig video, this amp does take pedals really nicely, and especially things like the fuzz we had in that video. So I think leaving this amp on its clean channel and putting something like a fuzz or a distortion pedal in front of it is the way to go, because it does handle them really quite nicely, and that small speaker with the solid state gives you some really interesting tones. But I don't think there's really anything much more to say on this little amp. It's really nice and simple and straightforward, which is what I like about it. And you know, especially the clean channel sounds usable. And really, it was meant as a practice amp, so for that sort of thing, it's perfectly good. But you could use it for other things, especially if you're trying to get into some weirder lo-fi or sort of as I discussed in the other video, Queens of the Stone Age or White Stripes, that kind of tone, then it's probably usable for that too. And I'm certainly going to do my experimentation with it and see if I can get those sorts of tones out of it. But that's it for today, so leave me your thoughts on this little amp down in the comments section and tell me whether you'd consider picking one of these up or whether you've had any experience with them. Make sure you go and check out the £100 cash converters video, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.